Yeah, but you can't sign it out on this.
You're good to go.
So can it be taken up?
We're ready. Okay. Shall we get started? Okay, shall we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
All right, here we're gonna do.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Shall we, as we normally do, go around the room and introduce ourselves? Mr. Pence?
Dan Pence, I'm the registrar. I'm not actually here. I was in remote.
You're on medical leave.
Yeah.
And you're going back.
But I'm going just after this, yes.
Trish Jones, Deputy Registrar. Nancy Davis, Deputy Registrar.
Eddie Hibbs, Secretary of the Electoral Board.
David Levy, Chairman of the Electoral Board.
Steve Troxel, Vice Chair.
The ever popular John Vassar, Republican City Committee, Lynchburg Republican City Committee.
What?
Oh, I didn't, okay, hi everyone, my name's Emma, I'm a reporter for Cardinal News.
Paul Anderson, Observer.
Jeff Rossner, Lynchburg Democratic Committee, authorized representative and voter protection liaison.
Cindy Matheson, native Lynchburg, interested citizen.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Support your board.
Thank you all for coming. We have done an amended agenda. And I do want to say we have been dealing remarkably well, I think, with our deputy registrars helping out Dan in his medical leave since the last meeting. And I have to say, I very much appreciate the work that's been done. It's been extraordinary and good. So do we have an agenda for this meeting to be proposed, Madam Secretary?
Yes.
Is there any other business with the agenda? Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as proposed?
You do.
A second, all in favor?
Aye.
Approved. Now we have minutes for the June 5th meeting, the regular meeting, a meeting of June 12th, special meeting, which we call to document the placement of electoral officers. The minutes of the election canvass that was held on June 18th to June 23rd, and the minutes for the June 24th special meeting, which was called for personnel matters and security matters, and then brought into public session to certify that. I second. Any unrecognised? All in favor? Aye. It's passed. Do we have any announcements?
Betty and I and Dan were all able to go to a fabulous dinner last Saturday, at which
This
we,
was an official.
at which we celebrated our chairman's 80th birthday.
Hey, hooray.
And we had a great time. I think he did. I don't know. He talked to everybody.
We did have a good time. Okay, Mr. Pence, did you want to report or shall?
Yeah, that's fine. I can do that. I'm here.
Not officially.
Yes, here but not here. Let's just see if I can put that.
Just a point of order. Would it be better for one of the deputies to give this report so that you don't show up in the minutes?
Trish can certainly read the report if you want. She has it there, so.
Okay, registrant counts by locality. You see some increases across the board, some inactives. With that, we're gonna be having, the inactive flag for the last NCOA mailing was set. Is that a part of this report? I think it was set July 30th.
Yes.
So a little bit of an increase in inactives due to the inactive flag being set by elect for the last mailing.
Yeah, that's probably good.
So we're up to 3,600 inactive voters. Right now, we've got 53,735 active voters in the city of Lynchburg.
Trish, what's our last day for registration before the election?
It's 10 days prior to November 4th. October 27th, maybe?
Because we have same day registration.
Yeah. Yes. All right, so this is for the month of July, breakdown by precinct. You'll see, we've got, so it shows transfers in, change out, if people moved, within the city limits. Yes, so, transfer in, transfer out is between the localities, different localities within the state. You'll see numbers for new voter registrations. And then over on the other end, you'll see, cancellations. If people moved out of state, like in the very first precinct across the top, there's 8 out-of-state cancellations, 0 cancellations per choice. That's if a voter notifies us and wants to cancel their voter registration. So that leaves us with 5,138 voters in 101, once all that math is mathed.
What did you say per choice means?
Per choice is if you have, if a registered voter contacts us and they want to cancel their voter registration, whether they moved or they just don't want to be registered anymore, whatever their reason is. So.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions about that?
What was our total increase or decrease in number of voters?
Yeah, we don't have that,
You have to go down.
yeah, you go down to the net change column, which is near the right-hand side. It'll show you the increase and decrease per precinct.
Yeah, we don't know what the total is for the city.
In theory, that's covered, but.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But I'm lazy.
They don't.
Yeah.
That's math.
Okay.
All right, so now you're looking at which budget?
This is the first one. This is just for the.
Okay.
July.
All right, so this is the budget for the month of July for the new fiscal year. So as you go across there, you'll see how much we have spent in each of the categories, which is, low right now because we just got started and we haven't had an election yet. So,
Now,
mhm. Okay, yes. All right, you'll see a great big expenditure down here under office supplies. We signed the contract for the office copier at the beginning of each fiscal year, so that's why it's committed. So that's what that is about, that we've already spent 41% there.
Because we had a big chunk one-time expense.
Right, that's a commitment, so we pay it out by month, but that's a commitment that the way they work their fiscal accounting, you've already committed to this fund, so from their perspective, it's spent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just clarify.
So.
what did we spend in the last fiscal year?
That's the page is coming up.
Yeah.
So you want to roll down there now, or you want to?
Sorry.
You want to see that now?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be,
That's two more pages.
yeah, that would be
Yes, two
on,
more pages. You can go ahead
I'm jumping ahead.
you want to jump ahead?
I think this will be office supplies for the office, right?
You want the whole, the total, or what are you looking for? The office
The
supplies?
total.
The total is down on page, what page is that on?
It's right here. That was the total.
No, not the office supplies, he wants another bottom line number.
Oh, how much money we spent for
So our total
fiscal
number,
25?
fiscal 2025, the amended budget was 599, but the, 599,000. But we also had a capital expenditure of those, they actually applied the new ballot machines onto this year, not last year. And so that meant our total number at the bottom is gonna be 703,397. But really, that's including that capital expenditure, so that kind of blows that up a little bit. So the real number really is more like that third column over on the bottom, under amended budget. And that was 103,000 over of what we had actually budgeted.
Right. And so for this present fiscal year that we have,
Yep, going back.
going back, we have budgeted a total of 448,000.
Yeah, 447. Well, somehow they got the 446, but my recollection is I put it in as 447. But anyway, that's 446. So I think where you're probably going with this is we probably need a budget amendment coming up in this year. And we discussed that with finance. Because we don't know if we have a June primary or not yet, the recommendation is that we wait and see if that's coming up. And if that's the case, put that budget request in for a third quarter budget request.
How much of our budget is reimbursed by the state?
So it doesn't show on here.
Right.
The state pays for 84% of the registrar's salary and about the same percentage of what the board gets as their stipend. Maybe a little bit less, right? Now the board stipend is that great, right? It's the registrar's salary, that's the bulk of that. So
That
that's about,
doesn't include the deputies. Just
does not, the deputies are fully on the city to pay for. So it's about $100,000, maybe a little bit less, that typically comes to us from the state every year. But that doesn't really show, we have a revenue portion and a expense portion. And they kind of do that math, and the number that we end up with an adopted budget is essentially, we don't see that as revenue, even though it is revenue into the thing. It just, they do all that math before we get to this number here.
okay. And so this number is net of our
Yeah.
payments from the state.
Yeah,
And in terms of costs, like the costs we ran up for the recount last summer.
yeah,
That was in fiscal year 2025.
yes, that was in fiscal 2025. The dilemma with some of the extra activities that we did, although it was a budget dancing around for our office,
Right.
we didn't have so many election officers working on that it was a huge expense.
Right, but we did have officers working.
We did.
And did the state reimburse us for that?
No.
particular
They
expense?
make us do an RLA and then any kind of recount. There's certain expenses they allow for the recount and certain expenses that they don't. So,
I know they paid us the cost of lunch.
yeah, that was right. They paid that to the clerk, right? That was about it. So we put some expenses in, but you don't get much back,
Right.
unfortunately. But by the way, even if I do get it back, that goes into the city's budget. I don't actually see it again because the check that I have to turn over to the finance department and they just put it into the general fund and it just disappears from our perspective.
Right. So this is all these funds for this year
Yeah,
ongoing
right.
are budgeted, are expenditures against budget that is net of the funds we
Yeah.
receive from the state.
Right. Right. So essentially, it's what they say we have to spend. So that's how they look at it,
Right.
right?
Okay. Those were some general questions I wanted to ask.
Yeah, no, that's fine, absolutely.
What's this in the context? Okay. Are there, Dan, are there any things that strike you since the beginning of the fiscal year that are showing us a problem?
No, I mean, we're at 5%, which essentially, if you look at the bottom of page 3, which I have up on the screen now, essentially, you look at the year-to-date transactions, which is like the third column from the right. Down at the bottom there, you see $18,000. That essentially is the cost of staff for the month. I mean, there's maybe, you know, a handful, we've ordered some office supplies and some things to start to much. But that $18,000 is pretty much what it costs to staff the office per month. And this sets about 5% of our overall budget.
And budget item 67,000, which is on page 2.
Page 2, okay, yeah.
Is back, 57,000,
What budget line number?
670,000. Equipment, non-real, property rental, security flower, 26%. What was it that we bought?
60, I'm sorry, okay, 67,0101.
Yeah,
I see 2,100. Am I looking at the same number you're looking at?
yeah, and it's showing that that's 26%. Which used, I'm just curious what we bought. Double quarter of our budget.
So, yeah, so the year, see, you notice that, okay, column number 4 from the right, year-to-date encumbrances. See, it says 587.56. I think it's 587, is it 8?
Yeah,
That is part of the copier encumbrance, right? So because we have this copier contract that we pay, you know, essentially monthly against, it's a PO, they put in a PO for the copier and it has a certain amount of money that they expect to pay. And then they mark it as having already spent it. And so that's an encumbrance that we have, even if we haven't actually spent the money. They're saying, well, you've effectively spent it because you've agreed to pay this amount. And so they just go ahead and put it on there. And that ends up, you know, looking like an expense, but that we actually haven't fully realized yet. Does that make sense what I'm saying there?
so the 2,100 is the total amount budgeted, the 587.56 is the amount that has been encumbered,
Right,
but that is, the equipment rental is the copier rental.
yeah, that's correct.
How did we end up with it also under office supplies?
Because I think
Just
there's
so-
a yearly fee and then a monthly fee.
So this is partly the bane of Nancy's life. The reason I say that is because they make us split it into excess copies and what we have to pay is a flat fee. So poor Nancy every month has to go in and when we have to pay this bill, she actually has to split it on 2 different GL codes, the ones that you see here. Some of it goes against this, some of it goes against that. And she has to put it all in the way they put it.
So if we're allowed 2,000 copies, the first 2,000 copies go on one budget line, if we make 3,000 copies, and that last 1,000 goes to a different budget line.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
And especially counting that, right? That's what we're talking about here.
Okay. I just like to know where we're, why the numbers are a little high at this time of the year.
Yeah.
You've answered my question, and I appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
Any other questions at this point? I think we'll have about the presentation to council later in the agenda.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I have more information on that later. The slideshow just died. All right. Let's try to undo this slide. did my other screen not work? See if my screen is dead or if it's just misaligned. Okay, well, I can do it that way. Okay, so that was the current month. This is the fiscal year for last year. How much deep dive do you want to do on this? Do you talk about the kind of skip to the end on this a little bit?
Well, we also got this budget performance report. Are we going to talk about that separately?
That's this.
I know we've got it two places.
Well, we have, so
Because
one is this one for this year. And the whole fiscal year last year.
What I'm saying is you've got this in your registrar's report. Are we going to talk about in separate documents at a different point in this meeting, or is this the only time in the registrar's report? Is this the only time we're going to talk about it?
So I'm going to talk about how we address the city council. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. You guys can take what I have in here and then reflect on that and decide what you want to do with it. But I'm presenting material to you for your conversation.
We're going to cover it a little later.
So if you want me to pass this later on, it's up to you.
Uses it as a toilet. Toilet.
I'm going to mute you, other participants. There we go. Someone else has joined, but I'm gonna. I think it's here, right? I think he's joined.
I think we can look at the fiscal year 2020. And questions. Earlier, when you part of our discussion on the agenda, under
Some of the massive mergers, just checking. Okay, we have talked in the past about why we spend money in those areas, so I think it might be aware of why we were budgeting on those. So I'm good at this point. We get into the other discussions.
Okay, then shall I present some additional information that will feed into your conversation on the next slide? So, we're gonna have to discuss this with the city council, obviously. And so one of the things like you guys are fishing around for now, I'd like to be able to prepare you with whatever potential, talking points or answers that you might need for that meeting. So I got a copy of the audit from fiscal 2024 across the state. And one of the components of that audit is within a spreadsheet that comes with every department of every locality in the entire state. And one of the components of that was the Board of Elections comparison. So I put on this sheet on the left here, the budget, this locality and the Board of Election budget in that locality, which also contains now the per capita cost and the how that particular locality lines up against the average across the state. And I've highlighted in yellow Lynchburg, just so we have some level set with our particular locality versus other localities. And so you can see that we have about 80,000 voters. You can see there's some other, localities on here that are quite a bit bigger than us, as well as smaller ones. The budget they show here for us in fiscal 2024, I think, is slightly inflated. That's not the actual budget that we spent. I think they added in the capital improvements we were trying to make, because at the end of the year, that was still part of our, what was showing on our budget.
Or would that have included the state expenditures?
Yeah, maybe that's how they calculated it. But anyway, I just want to say that's a little bit higher than what we actually spent, right?
Right. By
But
about 100,000 at least.
yeah, by 100,000, I think it's 150,000, and that matches our capital expenditures that were still on the books. So whatever reason, I just want to point out that's actually inflated from whatever. But even with that inflated number, our per capita cost is very reasonable compared to other localities, particularly other localities of our size. We're about $8.11 per capita cost for our elections. And our percentage average is about 70%. And what that means is, we are, what? I don't know how to turn that into percentiles, but we're at least a percentile below average in terms of the cost of elections that we do across the state. So I think this at least sets a little bit of a backdrop for where we're at. I think what it exposes is probably we're under asking for the amount of budget that we should be asking compared to our size and compared to other localities, which I think is probably a fair criticism. We've tried to be very conservative, and probably that's why we are not matching our numbers the way we'd like. So, the talking points on the front side here, we're at 70% of average versus other localities. Our cost per citizens is $8.11 per capita. And you'll look across the range and you'll see others are much higher. And the only ones that are really lower for the most part are places that have budgets that's bigger, generally speaking, that are bigger, and they leverage economies of scale, right? We've not tried to budget for every possible election, meaning, we don't assume we're always going to have a June primary and, a special election and everything else, which we could assume in our budgeting, but we've decided not to do that, for better or worse. And that makes us very conservative with our budget requests. And then when we have an election that's bigger than normal, then we see that, see this problem. Cost of the 2024 presidential election exceeded our expectations. And to meet the demand, we need to retain additional temporary staff, buy additional ballots, handle an unusual number of absentee ballot requests. Now, when we talk to the folks in finance about how to present this to city council, they actually didn't give us a lot of guidance, not yet anyway, because I think they're still trying to figure out how they want to do it. But they did send us a fourth quarter budget adjustment sheet for us to fill out. And so this is what we've done. And what I've done, I have to come up with a request for $103,427. And so we've allocated that across these GL codes, these particular codes. And the reason for that is because this is where, and to go back to your point, Doc, where will we, where do we balloon out, right? So this is kind of a summary of where we ballooned out and where we think we need to say, hey, we need more money here, 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 and here. And that will actually help, I think, for a future budgeting, exercise to help us to say, gee, in a presidential election, we're going to probably need, at least this much more in order to really take care of it the way we should. But I put on the right-hand side there, basically a non-coded version of what it is that we're talking about. So election supplies, postage, temporary personnel, the programming cost a little more, absentee mail out was a little higher, ballots cost more than we expected. And so these are the numbers that we are going to request the city council to agree. Essentially, they don't care. They just care about the bottom number. But for our own internal purposes, this becomes a little, more of a guidance for ourselves for the future. Questions on that so far?
Well, the problem with that approach is that, for instance, the largest category would be temporary personnel.
Yep.
And we were budgeted for 60,000 for that.
Let me go back up and see what we were.
And we actually spent year to date, we are at the end of the year, 64,000. So this approach would make it look like we overspent for temporary personnel, 41,000. But in fact, we only overspent about 4,000 or 5,000.
So you're only looking at the the electoral board side of that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go back to page 1.
So if you flip, so remember, everything's split between.
I was looking at 300.
Yeah, and your 3003, I'm sorry, 30300 for 0151 is the electoral board side.
Oh, I see.
And it's actually, you guys were fine from the perspective of electoral board. And actually, you know,
So it's your fault.
yes, it is. It's that early voting.
Yeah.
And early voting in this general election was just insane, right?
Yeah.
And we staffed that, you know, we just had no, I mean,
We have to reflect that the law changed in 2022
Right.
and extended early voting, created same-day registration.
Yeah.
And did several other changes that we did not have a comparable presidential election that we experienced.
Right.
So it was really impossible to judge. This is what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think that's particularly significant.
And for this upcoming November general election, we're trying to focus more on getting the right people in the right places for the entirety of early voting to cut that number.
I think our council will recognize the crunch we had, particularly on election day, because they observed it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think turnout will be, of course, somewhat less in this election,
We think.
Yeah.
we think, although it's a vigorous election.
Yeah.
So that we just don't know, but even so, we do have these 45 days of early
Yeah.
voting. We do have these same-day registration issues. And that's a problem. Okay,
Okay, so that was basically
good.
what I wanted to share about that. And like I said, background for your discussion about whatever additional things you want to put together for a city council conversation. Ongoing projects, maybe Tricia can do that.
The separation of duties document prepared by the electoral board, that one is still open. The page program, so we're very excited because we are now involved and partnered with the Beacon of Hope in both EC Glass and Heritage High School. They have the information for the page program right now in their office. And I think teachers went back today, so in the coming weeks, I'll be having meetings with some of the faculty at both high schools to try to ramp up the page program for election day and get high school students involved in democracy. So very, very excited about that. Dan and the electoral board have been working on backup precinct, getting the paperwork done, getting all the updates run, to get that finished. 301 and 203's relocation is finished. I sent that up to elect, so those are actually closed, it's approved, it's done, everything's finalized, and that's finished. The electoral board is currently working on the voting systems security program, the VSSP. That's a work in progress right now. The policy for election of officers, or for election officer terms, that's already been closed out. They completed Dan's evaluation, and then they'll do, right now they're in the midst of ADA compliance certification is due September 1st for all precincts. So.
We have some tasks. Okay.
And that's all we have for this report.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's announcements too.
Yeah. The November general election will be on November 4th. Early voting begins on September 19th. LNA testing, I'd like to get with the board before you guys leave today and get that scheduled.
Yeah, you know what, I don't know how I got that policy.
Yeah.
It's not right.
We, as discussed, the fourth quarter budget request to the city to get that corrected. The office will be closed on September 1st for Labor Day. And that's about that. The rest of that we've already.
Yep.
Now, if we're using the same places as we used before, do we need to go back around and take measures and such? We just want to make sure they haven't done any construction.
I think that's up to you guys to decide.
I think we need to do it. We're getting a little feedback there.
Yeah, I think it's on yours, John. Maybe.
I do have the ADA checklist printed for, Betty's already picked hers up, so the two of you.
We do the ADA checklist. Do we have last ones that we did?
I'm sorry? Yes. I do.
They're on the registrar department.
Okay,
but I-
well, all we have to do is go and just check to make sure nothing's changed. We can just copy the information over and I don't have to get a official way, scale
Yeah.
and tape. So if we can, you can provide that.
Yes.
It'll save us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I think that's the registrar's report.
Yep.
Do we have any unfinished business that we need to report about? Members? Not hearing any, let's move on to new business and the budget report for the city. Now, it's my understanding that you'll be on medical leave, that I will be the lead spokesperson
Probably.
at the meeting.
Yeah.
I think my two board members will be there to give me moral support. But I'll be talking with you particularly about the individual numbers.
Sure.
And I think you've already alluded to the overage issues. And I have a fair sense of what they're about. So I think unless the board has some unreadiness with that approach, I think that's going to be our approach. So, okay, with you all.
I would like to be briefed prior to meeting with city council as to what it is we're going to ask. So if you can just let us know the kind of numbers we're looking at, the areas we're kind of looking at. I don't need to know that now.
What it is we're going to ask, would you say?
I mean, this is the outline of what we're going to ask. That's
What we're asking.
yeah,
for.
we're asking for.
Yeah. I'll try to do a little contact work with members of council to see what they're interested in.
Yeah.
This is a delicate subject, of course.
Yeah.
And not necessarily something that's easy.
If I get further advice from the finance department, because once again, they're asking us to provide something that, in essence, falls under their rubric, but they're going to ask us to explain our story. So I don't know exactly how they plan to, proceed with this. So I will happily, help close that gap to see what they're thinking.
And as I said, I don't need to know right now. I just don't want to walk into that meeting cold turkey.
Understood.
Good, yes, it's a bunch. Okay, anything more on the budget report right now?
Unless you have other questions.
I'll be talking with you next week on that.
Okay.
Let's move on to ADA compliance. We have to have a certification to the state by the end of this month, by September 1st. Betty, have you already done your precincts? Is that what
I've visited all of them and I've spoken to.
Okay. So your part is in position to be completed. And what do we have to do? Do we have to do just a signature on a compliance certificate? I think that's what we
Yes.
did.
It's a questionnaire, it's a questionnaire to fill out, and once you've signed off on the questionnaire, then I think there's just a,
It's a sheet,
yeah,
just one document that will be signed and then sent up to elect.
Unless there are any problems with our precincts that emerge in this month, I don't think we need to have that as a special meeting or a discussion.
The only situation that, in which that would require a discussion from us is if we found something that was not ADA compliant. So long as they haven't done any construction or made any, tighten up the door so that you have to yank it open, you know, at least my six are all compliant. I think Betty's right, I probably should at least drive around and make sure that they haven't done anything different from what they've been doing.
Or just see if there's any construction going on at the location.
Or see if there's gonna be any construction.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No obstructions in the parking lot or the doors.
Yeah, I concur with that. Trish, I'll be able to, do my things. I mean, it'll have to be after the 20th. But, and I've got a few other days where I've got to be out of town. I'll get with people sometimes, just to go talk to people, to do a quick walkthrough. I don't think we'll
Sounds good.
measure anything. We're probably talking 10 minutes ago.
Okay. We have our marching orders on that. I'll confer with both of you by the end of next week and see if there's any unreadiness. Now, our fall schedule, we have a important dates list, which begins to talk about what we have to do. I see we have some early voting training scheduled. Is that the only training we'll schedule between now and the 19th?
No, this 16th as well.
The 11th and the 16th, I put early voting training on the schedule, because we start on the 19th, so to give them a couple options.
Are we going to use pretty much the same agendas that we have used for early voting in the past?
Well, they do are voting training.
Yeah, teaching people how to use theirs, how to check
Okay.
the voters in, yeah, we'll take care of that in the office.
Okay.
I mean, you're welcome to come join us.
At some point, we're going to have to discuss training of our election officers. At what point do we need to put together a schedule for that?
Probably, we should at least start talking about it on our September meeting.
yeah. So I don't, that deadline's not on here, but on my own personal calendar, I have a deadline to give you some kind of a plan by like September 1, beginning of September. And the reason for that is because if we do need to get venues lined up, it takes me a week or two to make sure that all the venues are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Good.
So maybe put that on whoever created this important dates list.
Yeah.
Can you add that to it?
Tricia's making notes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Training plan.
Is there anything else we need for the early important dates list?
Ellen,
Right.
Ellen, yes.
Yeah, so I would a couple of things about this. First of all, on August 22nd, I've got Update Merlin's on there. So I actually sent off an email, ran into Donna from Calvin's Hair FinTech at VRAF. I sent off an email to her today, and she's actually been wanting to do an office visit. So we're gonna coordinate that office visit and do the Merlin update while she's actually visiting.
For those who don't know, Merlin is our local area network for our poll books that we
Yeah,
have.
sorry.
in each precinct that keep us off the internet.
Yep.
And we
So-
have to keep updating that regularly.
So it's a virtual private network is what you're telling me?
Exactly.
Just within that precinct, doesn't go anywhere outside that precinct.
So it's locked down.
Yes,
It's locked down
it's
within
only
that
from the
precinct.
poll books that are located in that polling place. It does not communicate with anything outside of about 40 feet.
Good, perfect.
So that date of August 22nd may change depending on when Donna is gonna be able to pop in the office.
Well, we can do our LNA once we got the ballot from the state.
Yes, so I think personally, I was looking at like September 3rd, 2nd, 4th. I know baby's leaving for vacation
On the 5th.
on the 5th, so if we could get that done, you know, for me, the sooner we get that done, the better off I'll feel.
And remember, that is just for a cap. Like that particular element is just
So
for the
we
cap.
only have a limited number of
6 machines
Yeah.
probably that we have to
You
do.
know,
So it's not gonna be,
It's not the main LNA for the whole.
Why can it not be the main element?
Well, typically we've waited a little longer to do the main LNA because it's just a much bigger thing and we need to have it done for early voting, which is why we try to do the, kind of in 2 stages. If you want to do it all at once, we would need to get the vendor to come down, maybe we normally do that. Have you got on their calendar?
well, I was actually gonna ask that question to you, and the reason that I did not ask that question for this election is because after talking with the vendors at VRAP this week, their calendars are pretty much booked for this upcoming election to be able to do everything all at once. So if that's potential for the
but when are we
future.
going to do our second LNA?
We usually do it early in October.
So we need to book a date.
We will book
Yeah.
a date, yes, we would,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yep, we need to get,
I think with Dan out right now on leave, it's not a good idea to go ahead and do the whole thing all at once. I think it's good just to do the cap. Any other ideas?
I don't have a problem with that.
Ourselves, I
Yeah.
feel a little less.
When will we have ballots available?
So I have on our calendar to order the early voting ballots by September 5th. Usually they'll arrive within a week or so after that.
So
We have to have-
so
Well,
we
test
cannot
dates
do-
will probably be
we cannot do
before the
cap
ballot.
LNA before we get ballots, is that correct?
Test
Well,
dates will be,
It's test day.
test dates will be here before then.
Yeah,
So
so
the test decks.
once the ballot proofing is completed, the vendor will upload a test deck for us and mail us a test deck. So pretty much anytime, I would say August 19th, August 20th, beyond that point, anytime we probably have a test deck we can do at any point there.
Because as long as everything is ready to go, on August 15th, when ballot proofing begins, I will
We'll upload it and
send that.
as soon as Alex says, yep, you're good to go, then the vendor will go ahead and send us a test deck.
Okay, it would have to be after August 20th for me, and the following week I've got 3 different things. So again, we can
Yeah.
talk about what my availabilities are for that, and Betty's going to be unavailable.
The 5th,
The
sorry.
5th, so we need to do it.
Somewhere
we can do
between,
that.
and you come back and what you.
Yeah, we can do it. Second, third.
All right, John, I'm gonna mute you again.
Sorry.
Your feedback.
My mistake. I
Oh, it's okay, no
apologize.
worries.
My mistake. I was just trying to get these,
It's
I
done.
don't see as well as I used to.
Yeah, that's okay.
My vision.
September 2nd or 3rd, whatever. Suit
Both of
y'all.
those- Both of those days are open for me. I'm sort of the mandatory electoral board person.
Yeah, that's right.
Do we, who do we have to have for vendor? Which vendors do we?
Well, for right, for this one, we're doing it ourselves.
Okay, so we don't need.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically it's just up to us.
It's up to us, this one.
Yeah, second or third would work fine for me. People want.
So you want to check with them? Wait, is anybody?
No, it's okay, you
Oh,
guys,
it's
you
just
guys
us?
can
Just
make the
us.
call, you guys can make the call.
Yeah, whatever date is good for the three of you is fine.
We have a board meeting.
Either day is good for me. Why don't we shoot for the third, the second after Labor Day?
Okay, what time?
10 o'clock?
Yeah. Yeah, okay, sounds good.
10 o'clock on the third.
And you put out the notices to the
Yes.
The
We'll
partners.
notify the parties.
parties and such.
Yep.
Do we have to publish a notice on the website?
I don't think we're required to do that.
Okay, anything more on the fall calendar?
The naturalization ceremony is just because the public wants to vote.
Anyone from this, lost their present?
They do ask us to send something. Every year.
Okay, good.
Let us know.
And it's
time-
actually
time
quite,
and place.
Would you like-
Quite
would you
impressive.
like to go?
Uh,
I mean, usually we send someone from the office, but do you want to go, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, you can take my spot.
If you're busy, I could do it.
I mean, just, normally I'm out of town in September, but I'm not out of town this September, so it'd be interesting for me to
Maybe document.
go. Just let us know when we get closer to it.
Yeah.
Let me get the specifics.
Okay.
So I get a calendar.
Yes.
Sounds good.
Okay, any further discussion of the fall calendar? Voting system security program, annual review. Group, we've got to get our calendars out again to do that. This is a review of our security systems, the city and our own internal security systems. It's a closed meeting that we conduct to go over our checklists. And we have to schedule a date before September 1st to do it. So.
Actually, it's like, actually, before the 20th. Before the 20th.
What about before the 29th?
That's what it's due.
Okay. Well, my first availability is Thursday the 21st. Second, preferably in the afternoon. Monday afternoon, 25th. Tuesday morning is okay.
First, the 22nd is out. The 21st may work. I think the better idea that I think is have a meeting, I think in Richmond on the 22nd. That's second. So the 25th sounded like the best option.
See if we can do it in the afternoon.
So it would work for me.
How much time is it going to take?
I think an hour. be sufficient.
Yeah, I'll send materials in advance that you can look at, so, you know. prep.
We already have it there, yeah. I gave you-
Oh, okay. Oh, if you have 2024, then we're starting from that basis.
25th is a Monday. I'm available, I'm not available at 1 to 2:30, but I'm available after that.
So 3.
3 is good. And Madam Secretary, will give the notice to that meeting.
It's close.
We have to put it on the website.
We'll get it on the website and,
It's gonna be a closed
Posted.
meeting, we still need to know.
yes,
Yeah, correct.
yeah, we'll get it taken.
Good. Okay.
What, I'm sorry, what was the date?
25th of August. Any other system security? Okay. Shall we move into public comments? This is the part of the meeting in which we open it up for any of you to offer us wisdom and advice and questions. Are there any such, Mr. Rosner?
Yes. I'm Jeff Rosner, Lynchburg Democratic Committee, authorized representative and voter protection liaison. I have some comments on possible local impacts of recent events at the federal level. One event is the departure of most of the top executives in the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, in May. That agency has been providing election security assistance for Lynchburg. Also, about the local voting system security program. It is a security document, so I'm not asking any questions about it. But I do have a suggestion for it and for any other local security programs and policies. They should provide that voter data may only be disclosed to any government agency when the government agency is clearly authorized to receive that data. The reason for this suggestion is that the Trump administration is seeking voter data, some of it sensitive, from at least 15 states. Those 15 do not include Virginia yet, but it probably will expand to all 50 states, so it will include Virginia at some point. That data may include Social Security numbers. There is concern about whether the Trump administration has adequately protected sensitive data. Some examples are in a complaint filed with the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia on February 10th. The complaint states that personal sensitive data, including Social Security numbers, from the Treasury Department and the Office of Personnel Management was disclosed to unauthorized DOJ personnel. The complaint also states that the Treasury's Bureau of the Fiscal Service protected data was publicly posted on Elon Musk's X social media on February 1st. And according to the X post, there were more than 20 million views. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments or questions?
question.
Oh, go
I've
ahead.
been wondering about this forever, maybe somebody has given me an answer before, but who or what dictates how many hours the poll workers work on election day?
Basically, it's the law.
So,
And correct me, my fellow board members and Dan,
And the board also.
and the board. We have a policy of having poll election workers work the full day from just before 6 a.m. to after 7 p.m. We have not authorized part-time election workers on election day. But, so that's what the policy is now. And the law encourages that to be the policy.
no, and you had enough poll workers.
We're always looking for election officers. But just to add on to what David said, that policy has been in place at least since I started as an election officer in 2014, so it's not just something that we decided to do. And at the end of the day, election officers have to sign off stating a legal document that we verify that these are the totals that came from this polling place. And we don't think that they can adequately sign that if they were only there part of the day, because they don't know if they were only there part of the day. And that's kind of the reason why we continue that policy. You need to be there.
I was wondering, because it's a long day and people lose.
Yeah, I know.
They're not as attentive, I think it's at the end of the day, maybe.
I-
Or you had two forms, one for first shift, one for second shift to sign off that everything is correct on their shift.
And it raises, I've got to say, given the paperwork, it raises a lot of problems to have shifts, to have turnover, things that are ongoing counts and ongoing issues. So to date, we keep a full day policy in place.
Okay, I just wondered, they're curious. It just seems like a long day for people, and I would love to do it, but it's a long day.
I did probably 20 or more elections in the years that I was actually working in the polling place, including as a chief. And the chief's day is longer than election officer's day. But it can be done, and I think that's the proper way to do it, so that you have someone. Was this done legally from open to close? Yes, because I was there and I saw it. So that's the rationale.
Another problem is that right now we manage somewhere between 120 and 150 election officers. Probably more in terms of including the ones who are as inactive or cycle in and cycle out on various elections. And keeping up with them is quite a task, and it's largely a manual task. We have spreadsheets. Secretary of the Electoral Board keeps a lot of those records. But it would be a mammoth problem to double that and start doing shift work if we do that. We're looking at software to help us manage it, but right now it's not there. Other questions?
I have some, I'm Molly McLennan, and I have some little nitpicky questions. When I do voter registration, I find it really helpful to have a sample ballot. It saves a lot of talking. When is the first time that you could print me just one sample ballot?
We can't do that until ballot proofing is done. So we can't do that until ballot proofing for this next election is done. That begins on August 15th. So sometime during that next week, once elect approves our ballot, we could get you a sample ballot.
what has been the date we posted the sample?
Yeah, as soon as I get it from the elect, within a day or so, we'll turn it around.
So we would probably have a sample ballot posted on our city website around, in the last 2 weeks of August.
Yeah,
Is that what you do? I could just go to the website?
yeah,
Yeah, and you could
Okay.
you could just download it, print it, copy it.
And if not, I can come
Yeah, exactly.
in. You have help. I think I'm right that the last day to register is October 24th, and vote with a regular ballot is October 24th. And then the first day to register and vote with a provisional ballot is October 25th.
No, the,
it's 10 days now, right? So we have to count back from,
of November 4th.
Yeah, back to,
Which is October 24th. But you have regular registration closing on October 24th. You can have same-day registration after that date.
correct.
And people can vote
That's what I
provisionally after.
thought that's what I intended to say.
But people will be able to vote early who are already registered up until the weekend before the election, the Saturday before the election.
Oh, I am like, okay.
If someone, good question, if someone registers August 23rd, for example, when can they actually vote? They can't do it, they can't do it same day, can
Same day.
not that day because voting doesn't start until September 19th.
they?
Yeah.
October,
And there's
whatever.
a 5
If
day,
there's a 5-day wait.
there is a 5 day.
Okay, for regular registration, there's a 5-day waiting period. And same-day registration can be done
Right away.
Because
Because
you're-
it's provisional.
anytime during the 45.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you're voting with a provisional ballot.
If you do same-day registration, it's provisional. If you do regular registration, vote with regular registration, they can vote regular, but they have to wait 5 days from, I guess, when we get the form in the office.
Right, but remember, same day registration, just want to make sure I was clear. Same day registration doesn't start until after regular registration closes, right?
Right.
So,
That's October
and then
25th.
same day registration starts.
And put out the word, we don't encourage people to vote provisionally. If they
No,
do it regularly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It creates mammoth paperwork for us. We have to hand out all of those ballots essentially. We have
Well,
to handle.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
all
not
the steps involved with your ballot, the more secure it is.
Right.
I
There's,
think-
there's much more likelihood that the ballot will be accepted if it's done with people who've registered properly beforehand.
Because if you do same-day registration, it's one shot. If your application's wrong, whatever might be wrong with it, not only is your voter registration going to be denied if you do SDR, but if your registration is denied, your ballot doesn't count. So if you do it before close of books,
It's a problem, you can fix it.
we can fix it.
Exactly.
You were talking earlier about some date that wasn't that, and I thought you were talking about close of registration. Sorry. League of Women Voters and other places have sometimes gone into the schools to talk about voting. We have not done it very much here. But when you are talking about the PAGE program, if you would like someone else to, public person to go along or find that there would be a need for that, we would see what we could do.
I would
At this
check on.
point, I don't think we'll initiate anything. If asked, we would.
I would check on the school's policy. I know they will not allow anyone to campaign on school property except on election day. But I'm not sure what their stand is on straight up voter registration. But I would check the school's policies and make sure before we pursue that.
Other comments or questions?
Yes, go ahead, please.
What, the budget report you're doing for the finance committee for the city, is that because the city requested it or are you all requesting it? They requested it. Thank you.
All right, I took the liberty of contacting the Berlin folks, because I used to sit on the IEEE board to request their IEEE certification and their ISO 9000 certifications. I'll forward those to Betty. That should close out any technical disputes concerning Berlin, because the problem is their certifications are British. I want to make sure they get their IEEE and ISO 9000 certifications. And as a member of the loyal opposition, I would request my distinguished colleague from the other party if he could give me a written copy of his comments that he made concerning the statement that you read. I would like to forward that up through our party hierarchy to have to raise that as an issue with the national party. But respectfully request that if you could give that to me.
Yeah, if you give me your email address, I can email.
I'll send it, but I'll give you all my contact information. You have one of those things with you. You have one of these with you, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'll send you my contact information. Yeah, I'll do that. No problem. No, I just want to let him know I exist. That's all.
Okay, this is very good.
Argument.
Thank you.
Any other concerns or questions? Well, I think we've come to the end of our agenda. Do I hear a motion?
Why does he look at me?
I make the motion.
Because Betty wasn't.
I'm over the adjourn.
I say. All in favor?
Uh,
You're adjourned.
Okay.